to Candid Conversations with Couples. Married Tribe 55 Plus Couples Only is a community with conversations designed for mature couples. We open up with a moment of inspiration, and today's inspiration is being brought to you by Dr. LeGrand Mason. Thank you, sir.
It's our pleasure to be here. It is a moment in time when we say thank you to those folks those men and women that served in the armed services recently and, of course, in the past. And we hope our nation and the world gets cleansed and healed from this point on.
Thank you so much for that inspiration. Thank you all for joining us. And if this is your first time, I'm Linda Sam, and I'm the creator of this Married Tribe 55 Couples Only community. And this live stream is our candid conversation with couples. And my co-host is Tony Sam, who is a phenomenal R&B singer who happens to be my husband. So now we start every show with a gift of song from him. Take it away, honey.
And we're going to go back to 1974. I don't know how many of y'all was around then, but I sure was. I don't see no arrow.
We've been married, celebrating our second anniversary by then.
Your second?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. In 1974?
In 74.
Come on, I mean, you was 7 years old in 1974.
You know we're going to be friends.
You my BFF.
Okay. I don't see him. Hold on. Okay, show says it's starting. Hold on. I think our speakers went over to turn off the Bluetooth. Okay. Tony's gonna help you.
Step right up, hurry, hurry, before the show begins. My friend, stand in line, get your tickets. I hope you will attend. It'll only cost you 50 cents to see what life has done to those like you and me. See the man with the broken heart. You see that he's sad. He hurts so bad. So bad. So bad. See the girl who has lost the only love she ever had. There's got to be no sadder show to see. No doubt about it, satisfaction's guaranteed. Come on, y'all. So let the sideshow begin. Hurry, hurry, step right on in. Can't afford to pass it by. Guarantees to make you cry. Let the sideshow begin. Step right on in. Can't afford to pass it by. Guaranteed to make you cry. See the man who's been crying for 1,000,000 years. So many tears. So many tears. See the girl who's collected broken hearts for souvenirs. It's more exciting than a one-man band. It's the saddest little show in all the land. So let the sideshow begin. Step right on in. Can't afford to pass it by. Guaranteed to make you cry. Let the sideshow begin. Step right on in. Can't afford to pass it by. Guaranteed to make you cry. So let the sideshow begin. Step right on in. Can't afford to pass it by. Guaranteed to make you cry. Let the sideshow begin. Step right on in. Can't afford to pass it by. Guaranteed to make you cry.
Thank you, honey.
That was
girl,
fun.
I heard you. And I heard you too, son.
Thank you so much for that
I
wonderful
heard you
song.
too, man.
This is our 8th conversation in our series today, and we have joining us, as I said earlier, Dr. LeGrand and Sonia Mason. Thank you guys so much for being here with us today. Let me give you a brief introduction of our guests. LeGrand and Sonia were married as teenagers. She had just graduated from high school, and he was a second-year struggling college student. In spite of the odds against them, they both stayed in school and went on to obtain their bachelor degrees. After several years as an administrative assistant, Sonia would utilize her degree in Spanish to become a bilingual educator. From there, she went on to earn a master's degree in education and an administrative credential. Sonia worked for LAUSD for 32 years, both in the classroom and in administration, until her retirement in 2018. I told LeGrand, I said, I know her. If she worked at LAUSD, I was there walking the halls for my son. So LeGrand spent 10 years in the grocery industry and also worked part-time as a college counselor. He utilized his college degree to go into sales and marketing for nearly 20 years. He would then spend a few years in telecommunication. When the opportunity to return to his roots of counseling, he would earn a bachelor's degree in marriage family counseling and a PhD in clinical psychology. This is why this is such an apropos discussion to have with you guys today. They are the founders of LA Halo, helping Angelinos live optimistically, of David Cross. The Masons are both natives of Los Angeles, where they still reside. Married since July of 1972, they have 6 children, all of whom have college degrees and 8 grandchildren. Welcome, welcome, welcome to Candid Conversations.
Good job, guys.
Thank you.
So, Dr. LeGrand, start and tell us, please tell us how many years have you guys been married, and how have you done this so successfully?
You want to go?
Well, we'll have been married come July 8th for 48 years.
You guys look amazing.
Thank you. And it's just been a tremendous blessing. We're so grateful to God for bringing us to this point, and it has been wonderful, just wonderful. And we continue to do a lot of the things in which we think is really important that we did in the beginning that attracted us to each other from the beginning. So one of the things that we make sure that we do is we date each other still. And before this pandemic, we were going every Wednesday was our date night. And so we are trying to be a little bit creative here at home and do something similar to that. But that's keeps things young and exciting.
Absolutely.
And financial crisis, we've had layoffs and reduction in pay. I mean, you can name it that affected us. Having a whole lot of credit card bills, things of that nature. Let's get it real. That's a phenomena that goes across the board in America today. So we faced all of that, and kind of like the farmer's insurance, we know a thing or two because we've seen a thing or two.
That's a good statement there. So what advice then would you give to newlyweds? We're newlyweds. We've been married since December the 8th, 2019.
Well, congratulations.
Thank
you very much.
What advice would you give us about not having a way out?
The God knot. The God knot, and that's from what scripture?
Ecclesiastes 4:12.
Yeah, and you can read that.
Okay. A cord of 3 strands is not quickly broken.
So essentially, when things start getting tough, if we can work it out together and know that we have a spiritual aspect to it, that is one of the components to keeping it together. The other thing is to realize that when you said your I do's, you had witnesses that said you would promise to stay together until death part you. And I like to say until there's no more life rather than death. And with that being said, you've made a covenant, not a contract that can expire within a matter of years, but you've made a life covenant that you promised not only to the public or to the witnesses that were there, but God Almighty himself, that you would stay together even through all of your rough times, all through your bad times, all through your doubts, and all through the situations that can normally make people do that. And it's not to say that you're not going to feel that moment like we ain't gonna make it. I don't know. But when you think about you made a promise to one another, the chances are going to be much greater that you can stay together, and you make certain that you're willing to work together. That's where the God knot is. So the strand of 2 is great, but the third strand holding on to that. And we're not ministers per se. I am not. I wouldn't. That's a job way too tough. I'd rather work in construction with one hammer than to be a pastor at somebody's church. Trust me. But marriage is something that requires work. It requires 3 things, and that is expectation, which is planning for your future. Hope that people realize they're not going to be like celebrities. They are their own entity, and they should stay together based on themselves because somebody else gets divorced. No, that's not it. The other portion of that is participation, where you're working together to make certain that you have a relationship in addition to your marriage that becomes stronger. And you keep a friendship. And look, Mac Daddy, put it on him, Mama. If you can continue to do that and keep each other happy, both physically and mentally, sexually and non-sexually, then you have a wonderful chance of keeping your marriage intact, your friendship, and your ability to communicate.
Absolutely. And what I wanted to also share with our audience that we're coming to you live from our living room right now due to COVID-19, as you guys are doing the same, which I have dubbed her Diana Coronavirus. She is wreaking havoc. And so our studio is in Inglewood, and we're just unable to be there, but we pivoted during this time. because as you said, couples change, marriages change, everything change. So you have to be able to be flexible and change. And so we created this series as newlyweds to be able to find joy and peace during this time. Because Diana, Corona, Varanisha got people already lined up at the courthouse trying to get a divorce. And so we felt it was important to continue having these candid conversations around it. And our topic for today is there is no way out. There is no back door. So now deal with it.
Mhm.
So
Exactly.
from coming from that perspective, how do couples create a pact that closes the back door and that exit mentality?
We definitely believe in participating in the marriage marathon as opposed to the divorce dash. Divorce is simply not an option. You will work it out. You just you're just going to work it out. Just like they used to do years ago when marriages meant a lot more than just a piece of paper back in the day.
Mhm.
So you have to kind of think along those lines. There was a reason you were attracted to each other, fell in love with each other. Uh, get back to that. Discover what that was and do it again continuously.
Rebuild, rekindle, and revitalize.
Continuously over and over.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes. And
And I know, go ahead.
remembering to do things like you've got to have patience. You have to be forgiving. You can't hold grudges. You have to be forgiving. And that's not always easy because I know I was a bear for a while. And if I was mad, I would stay mad. And with maturity and over time and a whole lot of prayer, that has changed drastically. And this guy, he's stuck with me forever. This is it. I'm not going anywhere, no matter what you say.
Johnny Taylor put it straight. He says it's cheaper to keep her.
That's right. That's right. Hold on to your money.
I remember that song.
Yep, definitely.
And so what I'm hearing, it sounds like we need to have an attitude. It's an attitude of gratitude and a willingness to be forgiving.
Yes.
Continually.
Yes.
Yes. And also a spirit of asking for forgiveness and apologizing.
You have to be willing to do that as well. Now, you guys have an organization that helps with marriage counseling, with marriage therapy. Tell us a little bit about that.
Okay. So I'm the one that's involved in that. My credentials are in as a psychologist and life coach, relationship coach, establishes the ability for people to come when they're sick in their relationship to come to me. Halo used to provide that. That was a nonprofit organization. The Center for Family Enrichment, Relationships, Marriage, and Self is my private practice. It is a for-profit, but I do work with nonprofit organizations and churches to provide a service on a sliding scale basis. And then sometimes I do pro bono because I want to make certain that couples do stay together and have the opportunity and the resources. I have resources that I extend to. I also do grief counseling, and I do clinical hypnotherapy and neurolinguistic programming therapy. I work with individuals and couples. I work with individuals who are having problems with as a couple. So that's what C Firms, as I refer to it, does provide. And we want to make certain people have an avenue in which to work with. Often in marriages, it's not just that their marriages is having a problem, but the individual is actually having a mental inability to handle the stressors that are around them, whether it's COVID, their job, their society, their outside family, even children can create a problem. Finances can create stresses. We can go through we can go until your next meeting to talk about what causes stressors, and those stressors can actually be the onset of mental illness.
Well, you know, mental illness is a whole nother conversation that we as African American people think that I'm not going to go sit on no couch and tell nobody my problems.
Yeah.
And that is a place where a lot of us need to get an understanding about that.
Correct.
That it's not about you sitting on somebody's couch telling them your business or telling your story. It's about healing yourself, healing from the inside out. Because you can't talk to your girlfriends about everything. You have to have an outlet to someone. At least that's when I was sitting on the couch. I was happy to sit on the couch.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Because it provides a relief of being able to go inside.
Correct.
I have a big sister who has a show after this, and it's Real Talk with Love, and she's a life coach. And her name is Barbara Perkins, and it is amazing how she gets these amazing downloads, she calls them, of spirituality to be able to help people through situations.
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted I know if you're out there, Barbara, I love you. I'll be on your show right after this. But so since we now know that we have a clear path, because you guys have just expressed to us how there is no out with the strand of three. That is just not you and not just me and my husband, but God is in the center of that. What about those who don't have a belief that God is in the center of their marriage?
Okay, and that's a fair question. It's a good idea to make certain that your environment is conducive to your marriage. Hanging out with other couples that have a healthy relationship, having a mentor couple, having a big sister or big brother that you can talk to when the problems, that can be your confidant, not necessarily to take sides with you, but just to allow you to talk about it. Sometimes if you start talking enough, you'll find out the problem isn't with your significant other. The problem is yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And I have found that when people start expressing and communicating and they hear themselves, they realize, hey, it's not them, it's me. You know, I'm the one walking in with a matchstick, walking into a dynamite case. I'm the one who's got sticky fingers and everything sticks to me. It's not the other person who's got all the problems or not causing the problems. I contribute to it as well. And as a couple, and within our individuality, and that's the other thing, is that couples have to realize that their significant other has an individualness to them. They are still themselves, and they have to be taught or allowed to be themselves. And the spouse has to allow them to be themselves. I was an only child. I had moments when I would be by myself, be tickled to death to be by myself. I had wonderful parents, but I could fade into my room or fade into the backyard and do what I wanted to do just to have my own outlet. I was a big sports freak. I love all the sports. I played baseball and football in junior high school and high school, and a short stint in college until I broke my wrist. So
decided one time, I started thinking about it, and I saw him all involved looking at the game, and he'd get so upset if his team lost, and he would be angry and have an attitude, and it would just kind of ruin our day. And I would just say, it's just a game. What's the deal? And finally, I just decided one day, let me see what this is all about. Why is he so into it? Let me try to learn more about it. and it was basketball. And I started asking him all these questions about basketball. Well, what's a double dribble? Well, what's this and that? And he started explaining, and I started watching, and we ended up getting season seats. We had the same seats for about 5 years at the Forum. 7 years at the Forum. Those were back in the days of Magic Johnson and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. And I started watching and getting all involved in it. And we went to one of the games and we're walking back, and I was dead silent. The Lakers had lost, and I was not a happy camper.
It was a Sunday game against the New York Knicks. I hate losing to East Coast teams.
And he's walking. We're walking to our car, and I'm not saying a word. And he could tell I was walking fast, and he could tell I was not happy. And he's thinking, man, what did I do? What did I say? Why is she so? And finally, I said, did you see what Riley did? Did you see something? And I started going off on about the game. He said, she's mad about the game. What is this?
That was validation. I married the right woman.
So are you still like that with sports?
For me,
Okay.
I've learned that since I'm not making the millions of dollars those guys are making, I do not allow myself to drift back when I was, a kid or a younger man. My heart has been repaired once, and I don't want it to be unrepaired. So I'm not happy when the Lakers lose, but I don't take it half as seriously as I used to.
That's true.
And you, Sonia, are you still involved?
Not as much as I was before, but I'll look at it every now and then, and it doesn't take long for me to kind of get a little bit involved and start peeking at it and trying to figure things out.
She peeks. That's about it.
Yeah.
But she knows what she's looking for.
Yeah, she doesn't have it the way she used to have it.
Yeah.
Well, that is so amazing that I was off key to here for a moment, because my phone, even though I took it off of ringing, it's over here just vibrating. Everybody, where are you? We can't find you. We can't see you. We can't. I sent out 1,000 text messages about the show today. So, sorry, you guys. You'll just have to see it later if it's not there. I can't do anything about it right now. So we're just having this wonderful conversation, and you'll be able to see it later. And it is, I've tried to express to my friends and family, I'm not 55. I'm not married. I said, I understand that. And I appreciate that. But you can support. Support goes a long way.
Absolutely.
Supporting couples, or where you will one day possibly be. You will be leap years ahead, because you would have gotten all this wonderful counseling and instructions and information in candid conversations, that when you step into yours, you're going to be proud.
That's right.
So I'm setting the stage for my friends who are not 55 and above, who are not married, my family, my nieces. I know you guys are not married, but this conversation will live on forever. And you'll be able to go back and watch this and say, my auntie said that in 2020. And here it is, I'm dealing with it in 2025.
There you go.
Because nothing changes. It stays the same unless you change it.
That need not be, at least not to the degree that your relationship may be. Certain couples that just bring negativity, you don't need that in your life. I had the experience of knowing someone who had recently married and was excited about different little things, and someone else that worked there had been married and theirs did not work out. And there was always something negative being said by that person to the other one. And she could be a little bit influential. And I would come right behind her and pump her up and say, that was great. That was good. Keep doing that. That's what's going to keep your marriage strong. You need to associate yourself with people who are positive, people who are doing it and are committed to each other, staying together and not letting anything get in the way. Those are the people you want to hang out with. You got to be careful about who you hang out with, single or married, but for the purpose of that relationship, make sure that you are hanging out with other people who are uh, really working toward that relationship and keeping it tight.
Relationships go across the board, whether it's your marriage or you're dating somebody or you're just talking to somebody. It's also inclusive of your family members, your brothers, your sisters, your cousins, your aunts, your uncles, your neighbors. And we always want to keep a sense of positivity. And as I mentioned earlier about environment, and the environment has to be good to keep yourself growing and healthy. If you're around sick people all the time, you're bound to get sick. If you're around people that are negative, you're bound to become negative as well. And I've always been fortunate enough to have some wonderful friends that were single that always were supporting me as a married friend. And they would mention the fact they wish they had found someone or they had someone that they can actually call their wife, their spouse. And I always found that a compliment. They evidently there was something I was showing that showed some positivity, and they enjoyed being with me. I enjoyed being with them. Spent days having coffee or having a glass of wine with from time to time. It's what life should always be. We're going to have our ups and downs, but it's always great to have a lot more sunshine than darkness.
Yeah, absolutely. For real. And so people, it's amazing how we as couples have to always think about the example that we're setting too. People are watching, people are looking, want to find fault, want to try to keep it negative. And it's incumbent upon the couples, like you said, to engage and stay positive. Engage and stay positive. And so that's one of the things that I'm taking away, that if you put the work and the energy into the relationship, it could last 48 years.
And you have to understand that sometimes you get those lemons thrown at you. And you just have to find the sugar, sweeten it up, and turn that into lemonade and keep it pushing.
Maybe somebody give you some ice and make it real nice cold lemonade.
Ooh.
Absolutely. And I mean, it's definitely work. And if there was an adjective that we could give to married couples, what would that one word be for longevity? I know I'm just ad-libbing to give you more stuff here, but things are downloading and dropping into my spirit in terms of if they could just concentrate on one word.
Work.
What would you give for couples?
You already said it. Work.
Work.
It's not easy. Nothing gained. Nothing ventured, nothing gained.
Mm-hmm.
And like an old house or an old car, with a little work, you can restore it. The same with your relationship. And when I say relationship, I'm speaking not only to married people, but people that are cohabitating, people that are dating. If it's really worth it to you, you put in the work.
Right. And that's true, because couples that are just cohabitating, just because y'all not married, you still gotta put in the work.
That's right.
And it's for them, they have an out.
Correct.
Because they are not married, so they'll be more quickly to say, I'm out of here. But if it's the same concept, you are living together, you are a couple, you still have these principles apply to you.
And you have to remember that you're a duo, not a group. You're a duo. You're not a solo act anymore. Now you're a duo. You're Martin and Tammy or whoever.
Yes, exactly.
But you got to remember that you're a duo. You're a team.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
You know,
The two became one, and
that's right.
That's true meaning behind that.
That's right. That's right. We're a duo, right?
We enjoy the fact that people want to be together. They want to form a duo, a duet. Captain and Tennille, you said it. You know, Tammy and Marvin, uh, Herb and
Herb and Peaches.
Peaches and Herb.
Herb.
Although there have been 12 different Peaches since in the one Herb.
You're absolutely right.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's probably right on the number. It's been a bunch
I don't
of
want to hear that one. Oh my! I thought it was the same one.
One of the most recent ones was a daughter of one of the earlier Peaches. So,
That's right.
but nonetheless, we know it. They worked well, and we're not talking about a marriage. We're talking about an entity of the duo that worked well together, and has longevity.
Mm-hmm.
And I love it. I mean, wonder what was one of their great hits that they did. Oh, shucks! Got a CRS moment.
Who? Peaches and Herb?
Yeah.
Reunited.
Yes. Reunited is one, and people.
I know my music.
Yes, indeed.
I'm a youngster, but I know that music. But Julie, at this point in the show, we would generally have some Q&A, but I am wanting to give a shout out to this wonderful engineer who is doing our show today, Ross Jordan, and On the Spot Live is recording this for us and editing this and putting that show on today with you. If they would like to have their individual session or a couple session with you and your firm.
Well, we can tell you that even through our church, which is the TLC, the Liberty Church in Gardena, California, with our pastor, David Cross. We have couples meetings. We try to do it monthly or quarterly, but they can contact us through that, through an email of tlccouples@gmail.com. That's tlccouples with an S @gmail.com, and we will keep in touch with you and invite you to come and be a part of one of our couples ministry meetings. And that's for both married and non-married couples that are dating, talking, that are
cohabitating,
the whole nine. Exactly. So
shacking, whatever word they want to use. Huh?
Yeah, buddy. They used to call it years ago. They called it the Texas marriage, and then it became the California marriage when folks started getting together like that. So, but as far as my private practice, if you'll call me, I have a toll-free number of 866-773-4303. We can have a brief conversation and perhaps set up another private session, which will be by Zoom. At this time, I am only having sessions remotely. I use Zoom as well as WebEx, and it is confidentially done. So I don't do a cookie cutter. It will be geared toward you. So calling me at 866-773-4303 or locally at 213-867-1915, 213-867-1915. You can text me at that number, and we can set up a session or an appointment for a session, and we'll have a brief discussion about what your situation may be, whether it's related to your relationship or you're actually for your own mental health. I'll be more than glad to discuss it with you. As well as C firms, actually, you can send me an email at DRL Mason PhD. That's Dr. L Mason PhD @gmail. From there,
absolutely.
I have a very lengthy. I have a website, and that web page is in kind of a flux, and it's very long, so I wouldn't be able to tell you. But just email me and text me or call me at that number, and then I will be more than glad to share my my website information to you. I can give it now. It's going to be temporary, but it's cferms, CFERMS.com. That's CFERMS.com. If it's not ready, it will be very, 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 very soon, probably by the end of today's broadcast.
Absolutely.
I have somebody working on it.
And Miss Sonia, is there any women's groups that's online that women can go to? Because we need help.
I'm not that familiar with what they have going on these days with women's group. Again, the only thing I can really refer to is at TLC,
See?
where we have, it's called, woman, is it woman to woman?
Bam. Yes. I figured by hearing the back of the head, she'll either remember it or I'll hit her so hard she won't remember that I hit her so hard.
It's for women. It's a women's group, and it's conducted by our First Lady, as a matter of fact, Jacqueline Cross, and it's wonderful.
And it's online? They're Zooming it?
They have not yet, because we're still working out the different things. We're doing the streaming for regular Sunday service, and for also prayer meetings and Bible study and that type of thing. So slowly but surely, we're trying to get everything into that mode, since we don't really know how long this is going to last. So that's probably, yeah, that's probably on the agenda. But that's a wonderful group, and there's always such wonderful speakers and things that are always helpful. Sometimes health related things, physically, as well as financial things, and experts that come in to help and work with the women. They touch on a little bit of everything, and it's just really such a wonderful setting. And I would love to invite as many women as anybody that would like to come and associate with that. So,
and that's the Liberty Church in Gardena.
Yes,
under the pastorship of
David Cross.
Pastor David Cross.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're scheduled to come on the show as well. And that's how I'm so grateful for Barbara Lindsay. I have Barbaras in my life, Barbara Lindsay, Barbara Perkins. And so it's been amazing that the community that we're building amongst all of our churches here, and all of our, funny that when I talked to LeGrand, he's a musician, and I was sharing with him that was my prior life to what I'm doing now. 10 years of honoring jazz and blues legends, and he was a bassist. So he know quite a few of the jazz and blues legends that are here watching this show right now. I text quite a few of them as well to chime in. But this whole marriage institution is something that we, during COVID, it's our goal to keep as many couples together as possible. And with your help and all the other couples that have come on the show's help, people will be able to go back. You watch Netflix, you watch everything else.
That's right.
Put this on your TV and watch it, and get some great candid conversation around staying married.
Yeah,
and that's with these candid conversations with couples. And our Married Tribe 55 Plus is growing. We would love for you to go ahead and subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's Married Tribe 55 Plus Couples Only. Find us on Facebook, like our pages, support our pages. You'll get notifications whenever we're live. And again, I just want to say thank you guys so much for taking this hour out of your. Do y'all got some ribs? Can we go?
No, we didn't do ribs. We got a turkey, and that we didn't have room to freeze. So I roasted a turkey the other day, and we got to eat it because we need to make more room for the next group of food that's going to come in. But
I know it is Memorial Day and we want some ribs.
yeah,
And we want somebody to invite us, but we can't come and get it. We will send an Uber to go pick it up.
yeah,
We are staying hunkered down today on Memorial Day. And so we do want some ribs, but we don't want them that bad that we got to go out of the house.
Right.
And isn't this amazing? We're spending our holiday hunkered down.
for lack of a better term, we're hunkered down. We are
Yeah.
closed in. We ain't going nowhere. We're shut in
Who
without
would
being
have thought?
sick.
Exactly. Who would have thought that this would be what we were dealing with?
But I bet you guys have been inspirational to a lot of young folks out there.
That we have been. And fortunately, we were blessed to have parents who were together until death parted them.
Mm-hmm.
And my wife, who's a baby of 6, her surviving brothers and sisters are still married. They're all
Over
married
50
over
years.
50 years, and we're trying to get in that realm with them in the next few years. And
We will.
with the help of
Sure
the
you
Lord
will.
and good health, because I plan to live to be 116. She gave her blessing because she don't want to go that